Yo, hopefully you guys can hear me good. Pretty late, but now that my kids are asleep, I can keep reading through this book. We got any night owls up? Say hi in chat. And I'm eating some Pringles, sour cream. If you hear me crunching, ASMR stream, I guess. Let's get into this tonight. Let me know if the background music's too loud or not, and then I'll turn it down. If you don't know what we're getting into tonight, there's a site called Pokeymanz, and it is a Pokemon tabletop RPG. It's laid over Savage Worlds, but if you kind of know how to play tabletop RPGs like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, it's not too different. Almost sneezed there mid conversation. I got to page 50. Oh well, 45, I guess. Let's check it out. Alright, moves overview. Last time we were digging through this, we were looking at the rest of the book prior to now, like what is a trainer, what kind of roles can a trainer have, and then we were seeing how many Pokemon you could have, standard stuff, resistances, all that things, nicknames, gender, special abilities. It was all really good stuff. It had just enough rules, but nothing too heavy. Everything kind of simplified, which is nice. Alright, let's see here. Moves overview. I feel like we left off here. I could be wrong. Pokeymanz, yeah, there we go. Did we leave off here? Yeah, we left off here. Okay, so let's go. Let's see. We're gonna start with breaking down what a move is, which I'm really interested in. Pokemon works a little different than a trainer. Instead of a line of attributes, they have a set of moves. The in-game power of these moves doesn't matter, but how they're described does, because moves are very freeform. So it's interesting. I wonder if a bubble is as powerful as like a hydro pump, right? I guess I have a bubble beam breakdown example. Let's just skip to the breakdown and see what we got here. Okay, so we got the name. It's descriptive. What type it is, especially for matchups. A little bit of description for it. And then at the very end, sectioned off, with a nice period, this may lower its speed stat. Let's see what they say. A mechanical effect that the move has, its hit points, it hits people and sometimes reduces speed. I wonder if it has a built-in mechanism for that, or if it's just a 1 out of 4 chance, for example. That's very interesting to me, that the move isn't as important. I guess in the fiction, Hyper Beam will still be scary, but it may work off the same dice as a bite would. But we have to digest the entire system before we make any judgments on things like that. In any case, if you haven't caught the last stream, I'm a big fan of what I've read so far. The product is well designed, well laid out, and all the ideas are genuinely a hit with me. And anything that's not a hit, we could tweak, we can change, but it seems very flexible. But the goal is to have a good time as always. Alright, so assigning moves. Now that we know how moves work, we can get into statting them for play. Pick from a Pokemon's natural moveset. So you're going like Cerebri or something, see what your Pokemon has. It should have to give unevolved moves. So there are some limitations. You can't just grab a technique that only a Blastoise would know if you're a Squirtle. Each move has a starting effectiveness. If the move is the same as one of the Pokemon's 2 types, it's a D4. If the Pokemon only has 1 type, it goes up to a D6. However, Pokemon have a more difficult time mastering moves outside of their typing. Thus, moves are covered by neither types are a D4 -1. Okay. So if you're like a water poison Pokemon, I think Toxicroak is that. That's even its name. You get a D4 if you choose a poison move or a water move. It's a little less, but you have the flexibility of multiple types that are going to be strong. But if you're a single type Pokemon, then you get a little bit more power, which is nice. So your Bubble Beam match up against Pokemon that's not a water type, they shouldn't be as proficient as you. And if they're a mixed type, you should still be slightly better, but they have more versatility, typically. However, Pokemon have a more difficult time. Okay, yada yada yada. So that's interesting. I see that some of the stuff starts with a D4 -1. So a regular D4 is the next dice stack. I think that's the term they use, dice stacking. Let's see here. Alright, let's see what we got here on this other sidebar here. It's trainer tips. Try to pick a set of moves with a variety of effects. The only way to really pigeonhole a Pokemon is by giving them 4 variations of hit it with a body part really hard. Lol. And I love this mon. Is it like Beware or something like that? I can't remember what it's called. Do you have any additional thoughts on this section? Not so far. Alright, custom moves. If a player isn't intimately familiar with the Pokemon's moveset, doesn't feel like trudging through secondary sources like Bulbapedia to scour Pokemon's details, or simply creating a fake mon with its own moves, that's okay. To make a custom move in Pokeymanz, simply think of what a Pokemon should be able to do. A Pokemon based on the fur, for example, might be good at digging tunnels. Yeah, it makes sense. Decide what the move does and write down 1 or 2 sentences describing it. For digging move, for this ferret adjacent Pokemon, for example, one could write, Pokemon digs under the ground and pops back up to strike the opponent. Okay, so this is like, at a glance, what you think your Pokemon can do. You can kind of work it out. I see a joke here. So, this Pokemon doesn't know String Shot, or? That's funny. That is funny. Name the move. Oh, look. Freaking Scyther can fly. Who would have guessed? Those wings are good for something. You know, I always laugh when I watch Lord of the Rings and I'm like, okay, so they dropped this fire demon off a bridge. Why does he have like really big wings if he's just false? I guess you could argue there wasn't a lot of space for him to maneuver those wings, but I always just thought that was funny. Really cool scene, but I'm like, what about his wings? Alright, cool. So this just pretty much says that if something really makes sense for the Pokemon you have, you know, don't be afraid to try to get it on your Pokemon. Mastery and Evolution. Pokemon also have one other stat, Mastery. Recorder Mastery is a box to be checked and unchecked on your starter sheet. If you're playing in person, tokens are also a useful way to keep track of them. Pokemon can have up to a maximum of 2 Masteries, each representing a spendable token. Usable when using that Pokemon that refreshes each session. Mastery represents the results of big milestones in a Pokemon's growth or training. This includes but is not limited to evolution. Pokemon may evolve upon purchasing a Mastery, or if it chooses not to evolve then and there, will always have the choice to evolve whenever it uses a Mastery from then on. That's pretty neat. You can pocket the Mastery and kind of piggyback it onto something else later on. Scyther cannot learn Fly in the game. Oh, that is so dumb. That is so dumb. I never even realized that. Okay. Mastery can be purchased in the middle of a session. Hold on, I skipped a section here. Using Mastery grants 1 reroll on any roll if the Pokemon in question is active. It may be called after the result of a failed roll described within reason, as long as the player is willing to describe how the Pokemon's willpower turns the situation around. That's really cool. Like, you think you've lost the beam struggle, or maybe your Pokemon looks like he's about to faint because he just keeps getting hammered, and then out of nowhere he manages to break loose or topple his opponent. So it's a really cool tool since it can be used after failure. It's probably not meant to always be used that way, but I like that. Mastery can be purchased in the middle of a session as long as you have the XP available to do so. If a player chooses to do this, The Pokemon may then immediately use it as a buff. Pokemon evolving in mid-battle or solidifying their bond with their trainer in a fraught situation in a series staple. Is a series staple. Yeah, I like that. That's really cool. Did they talk about XP already? Like, what does mastery work with experience? Oh, well, there's an advancement section here. Okay. I don't know why I knew Shuckle was the toughest Pokemon. I think I got walled by one a few times in the games. I even think a long time ago when I was doing like something like online battles, there was some annoying Shuckle builds back in the day. It's a shame that Steelix has all the makings of greatness, right? It looks cool. He's massive, just like Onyx was. But I've never ever had an issue easily taking Steelix out of a fight. So it's just so strange. Alright, character creation quick reference. Alright, let's look at this. If you don't know, and people on my server that saw me post this this video that I'm reviewing this stuff, a few people are already excited to get into a campaign. I'm really looking for about 4 people at most. I know generally when I play D&D I run tables of 7, but I'm looking for 4 people that want to kind of have this episodic kind of late 90s, early 2000s episode of Pokemon and go on a journey together. And I really want people to do more than just badges. I'm okay if everybody wants to get badges, but I also want you to have a side task, whether that's breeding or doing what Tracy did. I think it's like a Pokemon Observer, what someone told me, or he sketched and stuff like that. It'd be really cool to just kind of dig into the world, to take it for more than just the most popular, granted, but more than just the battles. So with that said, let's look at this character creation quick reference. I'm sure this would be very useful for me to pop into my Roll20 game in the future. Make a copy of the character sheet and print one out. Create a trainer and give them a name and a general concept. From this concept, give the trainer a calling, which is what we were just talking about, kind of breeder, trying to become a champion, ace trainer, stuff like that. Give your trainer attributes with 4 die type upgrades and a maximum level of D8. Optional, pick hindrances in exchange for edges or an additional attribute die step. There we go, they call them steps, die steps. Record your trainer's toughness, half their fitness die. Choose your starting Pokemon species. Give your starter a nickname and gender. Record your starter's types. Choose your starter's moves from their natural learned move list. Assign starting dice values to the chosen moves. D4 for moves that match, so that kind of reiterates what we read earlier. Apply 2 die step upgrades to the moves as desired. Record 1 mastery on the starting Pokemon sheet. Oh, nice. So you just have a mastery, huh? And then everybody starts with 4 toughness, huh? Pokemon begin with 4 toughness. So it don't matter if you start with a Steelix. I mean, I don't imagine people start with that often. But you just got 4 toughness, huh? I'm sure in the long run it pans out better. We'll probably see something about toughness and advancement, I imagine. You know, in D&D when you level up, you get more hit points. But that's not true of all tabletop stuff. Some tabletop things, you get hit points every other level. Others, like Dragon's Bane, you don't even get more hit points unless you take certain feats. Which is really cool. Alright, creating experienced trainers. Whether it's because you'd like to start the game with a set of more experienced trainers or simply because your group wants to be able to have a full roster for a one-shot, it may at times be inappropriate or too limiting to start play with character creation level trainers. If desired, create a character with the above rules, add as many Pokemon to each trainer's roster as GM sees fit for the premise, and then skip over to advancement to add as much XP as the GM assigns to the sheets. So it's saying like maybe your GM throws, it's a game so I don't think you'll deal with numbers in the hundreds, maybe they throw like 5 XP at you, like hey, distribute these, do what you gotta do. But we're going to get into that so I have a more clear concept and understanding of it here in a moment. Advancement. Growing tier. There are 2 types of character advancement in Pokeymanz. One is trainer advancement and the other is Pokemon XP. Train hard and one day you too might have a glow up like this. A glow up this good. There we go. I love all the artwork they chose. I wonder if these are all like, I know some of these are official characters like him. I wonder if they're all from the games or some of them are just fan art. You what, mate? Alright, so trainer advancement is gained through engaging with a trainer's callings. It can be used to buy up trainer attributes or edges. Give trainers an attribute die, step upgrade, or a new edge, or overcome an hindrance. For major story accomplishments related to their callings, for example, getting a gym badge, winning a major Pokemon contest, striking a major blow to a criminal organization, making a step towards finding legendary Pokemon, unraveling part of a larger mystery. Okay, so this is for any like if you've run a lot of tables before, especially since a lot of people do milestone in D&D. This is just like your structure for milestones in general. It's pretty easy. This seems like it'll be pretty easy to award proper advancements. I guess it could get harder for some people to award advancements for like big accomplishments in your callings. But if you're I used a Safari Worker before. If you're a Safari Worker and you repel an evil organization, even if you don't deliver a big blow to them, you just stop them on your turf. That's a moment to be like, holy crap, man, you really like played into your calling. This was all about you tonight. Good job. Take an advancement. I like this. I like that it seems simple. We'll see how they handle XP, but this is really, really cool. I wonder if my players will be interested in contests too, because I'll prep as much as they're interested in. Right now, I'm trying to figure out how I want to do my my token. Oh, here we go. I got some tokens I made for it already. I don't know if I want to go with the graphic Donphan that you can get the animated one. I'm probably not going to go with that. I also have some really good artwork by Pearl 7. She did I want to say she did about 3 gens worth of artwork. And it looks really good. So I have her artwork here. And then I have her artwork edited onto a Pokeball. Since in D&D, typically you have like a round token that's behind it. And then you have a character in the token or half in the token, half sticking out, like claws or hands or hair might be kind of flowing out of the token. So I've got one with a Pokeball and then one with just the Mon. And then I plan on setting up HP bars in the top right and the lower left that people can see so that you can watch the things deplete in the middle of a fight and stuff, which would be really cool. And then we're gonna have a badge screen and all that stuff. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Okay, so anyways, I'm gonna get off topic. I'm kind of like I talk to people versus like really analyzing stuff. If I'm having a conversation with you, sometimes we trail off to other stuff. We talk about other things. I will start skimming through some of the pages that are just kind of what you'd expect from a TTRPG. But I want to see stuff like the XP and the advancement. That's really important to break down and understand. Let's see, we got some stuff here in chat. Every single picture is from an official Pokemon avenue of some sort. I refuse to use fan art without credit, and so I chose to adopt the old magazine style where they'd be given assets. That's fair. Easier to just go like this. Yeah, this is all Pokemon Company stuff. Yeah, this is not an official product. I'm just playing dolls here. Okay, cool. Yeah, there's so much fan stuff on there, but yeah, artwork, credit, all that stuff is important. Yeah, Kaiba's definitely not a official character, but don't tell him that, he'll be offended. He would definitely be a dragon gym leader. I wonder what dragon he would go with. Are there any of the shinies blue? Like Salamence is blue, but he's not like the really light blue. This is that ice one. I don't know. Maybe he probably had like 6 Salamence on his team. All right, XP. Pokemon XP is shorthand for the amount of experience a Pokemon has working with its trainer. Pokemon with more XP have more powerful moves and can defend themselves better, or may be evolved or otherwise for the effects of high mastery. As a GM during every session, keep track of the number of encounters the PC has faced alongside their Pokemon. Especially in-depth encounters like gym battles or climactic showdowns may count for 2 or even 3. Yeah, pretty much if the trainer's getting an advancement, the Pokemon's probably going to get more than the usual XP. So if you win a gym, boom, you get something for your trainer. Pokemon that participated gets 2. At the end of the session, the GM counts up the tally and awards everyone's trainer. Oh, so it goes to the trainer and they distribute that many Pokemon XP. Alternatively, for faster growth, GMs can take the average of trainer's team size and award that many XP per session. XP is pooled by the trainer and then spent on Pokemon. Okay, so obviously the trainer can give it to the Pokemon that won you the battle, but you don't necessarily have to put it to a different Pokemon. I'm kind of 50-50 on if I like that or not, but it does give more power to the player to kind of keep their party up to snuff and all that stuff. Alright, buying up moves. So if you want to do a die step from a minus D4 to a D4 to a D6 to a D8, it's 1 XP. If you want to advance from the D8 to the D10, you'll be paying 2. From the D10 to the D12, you'll be paying 2. Okay, here's toughness. So you can buy up toughness by 1, max 8. 2 XP plus 1 for more XP each time it's increased. So it's 5 for 2, 6 for 3, and so on. 7 would be 4, and 8 would be 5. Okay, and it looks like HP is max. I wonder if some Pokemon have exceptions, or some abilities might be plus 1 to your toughness, so your max is now 9 if you maxed it out. I'd be interested to see how that works, and I'm sure some of it's like on the GM. Alternatively, GMs may choose to give out XP based on individual participation. Oh, they were just talking about this earlier. This will result in uneven scaling in Pokemon, which will impact the game balance significantly. Be warned, many groups will find this unsatisfying. Yeah, I guess it's a session 0 talk right there, right? You guys want XP share? Or do you not want XP share? Pretty much. And then whatever the majority agrees on, Learning new moves. Pokeymanz start with a full pool of moves, but what about TMs? What about training and tutoring to learn new techniques? Any trainer can train a Pokemon to learn a new move from the set of moves it naturally learns. Trainers that obtain up TMs can use them, and Pokemon can be trained or tutored by a move tutor to master new techniques. But their Pokemon will have to forget a move in order to be able to use the new one. Generally, you want to have some kind of in-story justification for this, such as training retreat or a period of relative downtime. Nicely. Alright, so I like that. I think that's pretty cool. In D&D, sometimes I've actually had a guy come to me a week ago. He was like, I'm not really enjoying the warlock I'm playing. You think I could like move some stuff around? We just finished a major arc. And yeah, so we changed it up and now he's a shadow monk with a few levels in warlock. Because we want to make sure he has fun, but we also don't want to, at any point in time, maybe you're a warlock today and then next session you're a barbarian. I don't know about that. But, I mean, that's a way larger than what's happening right here. But just as an example that there are times where it's appropriate. And I like having downtime. Something I like to do on my TTRPGs is say, wow, you guys the last few sessions were awesome, but a little stressful. We had the BBEG, which is the big bad evil guy, or big bad endgame. You're dealing with all this stuff. There were so many fights. It was a rush. Let's go ahead and do a 30-day time skip. You guys kind of tell me what you're doing. We'll RP out the session, and the entire session will be very chill. A chance to refocus your skills, progress your relationships, start advancing towards stuff that you want to do. And that's pretty much what happened right there. It probably won't be that extreme, but if you have some time in a spa town or a beach episode, and there's a move tutor hanging out on the beach, hey, I can teach your Pokemon waterfall. And they take us to a little section by the beach where there's a waterfall and stuff. There could be a lot of fun opportunities to use this in an interesting way. But I would tell the game masters to absolutely be open to shorter term stuff, faster stuff, because that's what TMs and stuff exist. All right, so let's see here. Any XP or free dice steps invested into old moves are refunded. Wow, that's pretty huge. You get a refund of your old stuff. Maybe baked, respend on the new move or use on another one of the Pokemon's moves. Remember, I guess actually that makes sense, because if you get a new move, does it start at D4? And then you have the option to advance it to where your previous move was. I'll clarify that on my own. I don't want to go back too much if there's a lot to get through. If you'd like to change the move to a move that is functioning the same move but more powerful, just change the name of the move on the sheet. That works, right? Icy Wind Blizzard. I guess a lot of the onus is on the GM and the players, that if the move itself isn't going to change dramatically because of how moves work in this system, then it could be a natural progression to say, well, it's been Icy Wind at a D8, but I think at a D12, it's time to be Blizzard. That's cool, sure. As a note for simplicity, and because there are different optional rules to handle breeding in Pokeymanz, treat all moves a Pokemon can learn in game outside of their level up set, including egg moves, learnable TMs, TRs, tutor moves, etc. from any game they're in as learned by a TM or tutor in Pokeymanz. Okay, nice. Evolution and respecking. Okay, so we're going to dig into that a little more, the respecking. To hold B or not to hold B, that is the question. A lot of Pokemon learn new moves or go wildly different directions upon evolving. Yeah, there are some Pokemon that just they don't even look like their previous evolution. As the mastery section states, a Pokemon can evolve upon gaining an appropriate level of mastery, right? Anytime they spend mastery from that time onward. Evolving gives a Pokemon an instant respec. Okay, that's cool. You want to feel, especially when the game rules are simple, you want to feel the progression, right? Maybe after you evolve, your Icy Wind became Blizzard, if you really want to ham it up and play stuff like that, right? The trainer is allowed to shuffle around moves, spend XP, free dice steps, and special abilities on the spot when a Pokemon evolves, especially redoing its entire build from the ground up using the rules from the section above. It's recommended that a player planning to evolve their Pokemon and have some kind of idea what they want the evolved Pokemon stats to look like. You know, we don't want to pause the game for 30 minutes because some guy's like, I evolve and now I'm going to respec. Can we take a 30-minute break? No. If you know this is probably going to happen in the future, or just as something to be mindful of in general, start planning out how you want your journey to look with your Pokemon and have an idea what you want to do. Okay. If they don't think to, though, or the idea to evolve comes on the heat of the moment, which will happen, GMs are encouraged to let players throw out moves from the evolved form without formally writing it down in reasonable dice steps. That's very easy. And then let the players solidify the actual stats later. Okay, problem solved. A very simple solution for a simple thing. There's one more thing I would do. If you're losing a fight, I don't know if I want to make this a permanent thing. Because then I could see that the evolutions only ever happen mid-fight and never outside of combat, which can be tempting. But you only evolve so much, right? If you're losing a fight handedly and your Charmeleon evolves into a Charizard, heal all your hit points. I don't know if that's the intent here with the respec, but your toughness goes all the way back up. And your opponent better be ready. But I like that. I'll toy around with that if that's not already the intent, is for a mid-battle evolution to be a full heal as well. Okay. That's an easy way to show, like, wow, my Pokemon's a lot tougher now. It's a little artificial, but it's easy. I actually had a trainer that invested a crazy amount of XP into a feedback splash, like D12 splash, taking up 7 XP by itself. And then when it evolved into melodic, it had all that XP to spend. LOLs. Could you actually hurt someone with splash? Is there like the rule of common sense, or was he like tidal wave splashing? Was he a splash that was a surf? I'm not actually sure how the combat works just yet. Loosey goosey. That's there we go. The loosey goosey. That should be one of the 5 rules in the game. I think that technically is one of the rules in the game. on the earlier pages. For learning new moves suggests that you can move moves in and out at your leisure. But where does that leave the XP that might be lost in the shuffle? How many moves can you retrain at once? Well, first of all, it's worth reiterating that Pokemon XP is a pool that the trainer has access to. Okay, so I'm going to take a gander, because I do want to get through more of the book today. That, the trainer gets refarmed, the trainer relocates it, and just note it down somewhere. Make sure you don't lose anything. Disobedience. Here we go. Alrighty. Let me see here. Oh, we got an update. It did not hurt anyone. I committed fully to unleashing D12 Splash. You don't have to, but did it for the effect. But that's the kind of players I like. I like players that do stuff like that. It's so much fun. And it's so dumb. But the dumbness is the funness, right? And when you evolved, and maybe it became Surf or something crazy, it works, right? You're the best splasher. Well, the moment you evolved, that little puddle became a freaking tsunami. Oh man, that's a great visual. Yeah, I've got players like that all the time that do stuff like that. Of course, you got your power gamers, if that's what they like, whatever. They can have their fun. But I'm all about the story. I still will facilitate both play styles, whatever. But I do like following where the tale takes us, where the story's going. And that works both ways. That means that once in a while you might lose to your rival, because it's kind of, I won't force you to lose, of course, because that wouldn't be fair. But if you do lose and it's a natural defeat, that's not a horrible thing. You just gotta take that in stride and be like, now I've got something to work towards. And the next time you do beat your rival, sounds like a trainer advancement to me. Okay, let's look what we got here. Disobedience. Most of the time, trainers and Pokemon live and work together in harmony. Other times, for one reason or another, Pokemon decide that they aren't moving from their chair. No sir, not getting out of this chair. That sounds like me, sometimes. I'm disobedient. Alright, let's see what kind of mechanics I got in here. Yada. I'm skimming through some of this. Alright, whenever it's triggered, the GM takes over the Pokemon and causes it to act in a way. It's very useful to have those bolds. And cause it to act in a way that causes direct inconvenience or trouble to the party. Use disobedience to make the situation more complicated to navigate, but not impossible. Aim for fun, hijinks, or drama, not antagonism. Bold, please. It's just as important as the words above. Yeah, I like it. It sucks. I remember how upset I was with Charizard when he lost that match for Ash. And I'm also sad that he wasn't there for the final battle later on to kind of play on the duality of it. He didn't have to be the one that won the battle, but to participate in there. Maybe have flashbacks to when he was disobedient and all that stuff. But I know it was that region's Pokemon's time and Pikachu's time and Ash's time. And that there was just too many Pokemon in his arsenal that had similar redemption stories that they could have had in that final climactic fray. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Even though recently I was playing a Pokemon game and I traded for a Politoed. Man, I was so annoyed because I kept forgetting about the disobedience, and that Politoed did not listen to me. And I just kept looking at his dumb, cute face as he just stared at me with its half head, because you look at the back of the Pokemon, looking right at me as I play the game. And I'm like, you motherfucker, you better use Ice Beam. He did not use Ice Beam. He pretended to not notice. Alright, catching stronger Pokemon. As the journey wears on and trainers become stronger, it may become harder and harder to use newly captured Pokemon. As the amount of XP needed to catch up with the main team grows, what can be done? Let's see let's fill out in this bolding text, because it's been very useful. Allow trainers to capture Pokemon that are statted above the basic level. It's like when you play the game and you're not finding level 5 Rattatas no more. In a different region, you're finding level 30 Raticates. But have said Pokemon act disobediently. Okay, cool. It's a good medium. Have each new caught Pokemon be given a baseline boost. Make sure everyone in the group is alright with the chosen path. Of course. Some warning of beforehand is always appropriate. Oh, I see here. You can also use XP to catch up with them too, which the player holds. That's nice. Alright, somebody posted spotlighting on the server. I think it was this morning or today. So I actually read this on the server already, and I loved it. It reminded me how Ash would choose Pokemon for the Pokemon Leagues that he didn't, that he never trained. So it's like, man, that kind of sucks because it's going to be super weak. But with the anime logic, which this rule supports, it's time to give that Pokemon some spotlight. So yes, he wasn't there for all the hard-fought battles, but temporarily, he's going to be there to really show that he's a contender. That it's his moment to shine. And I really like it. I think it should be used very sparingly, but I really like it. Yeah, and actually, when I read this earlier, it was like, man, this was like 10 hours ago, maybe 12 hours ago. I was getting the itch to review the book when my children are home, because it's the weekend. They were allowed, they're running around. You know, one of them's only 4 years old. I was like, I'm going to wait till they go to sleep. And here we are. I'll be at Spotlighting School. Alright, nice. Pokemon battles. The biggest portion of most Pokemon games are Pokemon battles. The main event. Pokemon love battling and humans love battling with them. In this chapter, you'll find rules to simulate battles, Pokemon contests, and all sorts of odds and ends to make Pokemon-related conflicts fun and strategic. Go and try to be the very best, like no one ever was. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see what we got here. Honestly, I think it'd be cool to leave Pokemon with the character of the day in the journey and have it come back stronger later. Yeah. Or drop your Charizard off at Charzific Valley. With Ash's Charizard. Oh, like with Ash's Charizard, yeah, in Glygon. Yeah, it is a pretty great PDF, Matthew. And it's nice to see you in chat. Alright, let's get back into this. So, if you're just coming up onto the stream, we're reviewing Pokeymanz. This is a free resource, unofficial game hack, layered over Savage Worlds to help us capture our favorite moments from the TV show with a strong medium with the game. There's cool stuff in this book that I skimmed over before, like not being able to catch your Pokemon when it hit 0 like in the games, or throwing that out the window and catching them anyways. And it's really fun. And the creator behind it had a lot of passion. You could tell they're a fan. And that I think that whenever stuff like this is made, it should always be in the hands of real fans. Not people that just say they're fans. I think it goes a long way to make a product filled with passion the best it could ever be. So if you want to get this, you can go to the site, Pokeymanz, just type it online. You'll find it pretty fast. Download a copy for free. It's not $14.99, don't worry. And enjoy it like I'm enjoying it now. And if you play with TTRPGs on VTTs, which is virtual tables, it's fully supported on Roll20. What I mean by fully supported is that it has a functional and working character sheet. But the Pokemon stuff, you're going to have to manage that yourself and stat them out and make tokens for them. And then with Roll20, you can add things like GIFs. Like I put a Phanpy on an attack by editing the image of the HTML and Markdown and stuff. I tried to make a Pokemon RPG when I was 10, but I was too young to know what I was doing, and I also didn't know what a TTRPG really was. I just wanted to play Pokemon Red without batteries. Wanted a way to play. Yeah, I understand that. Trust me. I think all of us in our hearts at some point, especially people that pursued fantasy, cartoons, TV shows, we wanted to find a medium where we could feel like we were in an episode, like we were in a show, especially when we had our young minds. For some of us, Dungeon Masters like myself, that stuck with me forever, and I became a DM so I could tell stories like Lord of the Rings, like Witcher, and other stuff in other forms. And now I'm taking a Pokemon journey with people in my server giving up to become Pokemon trainers or breeders, or maybe some type of scientists in the universe. And I'm really excited for that. Anyways, let's dive into Pokemon battles and welcome to the chat. Alright, fast. Pokemon battles shouldn't be a session-long slog. Anyone who's played D&D, if you got a party of 5 players or more, even if you got 4 or 3 sometimes, D&D battles are long. They're easily an hour of the night if it's any respectable fight. I'm not talking about 2 drunks in an alleyway. That'd probably be done in 10-15 minutes, and then the reality is someone probably didn't get a turn to help you beat them up. But this is saying that they should be fast. Maybe they could be 20-30 minutes, but maybe it's appropriate to be 10 minutes. Maybe it's appropriate to be 5 minutes, which is a really nice change of pace from some of the very lengthy sessions of fights. Sometimes a D&D session, the entire session could be a fight. Alright, let's see what we got here in chat. We got a lot of people now. Valid. Anyone who likes Pokemon is a fan, absolutely. What I like about Pokeymanz is that the only internal game battery that can die is our own drive to play. There we go. My battery's on full charge right now. It's green. Though if I sound like I have less energy than last stream, I do got people sleeping in my house. They're in a different room, but I still gotta keep it down. Okay. I won't get too sidetracked, I'm sorry. Action-packed. Every action in combat should have some kind of consequences. It should be easy to make choices and strategies that matter to the battle. Creative. Thinking outside the box and coming up with a novel way to turn the tides should be rewarded. Your enemy's hitting you with rock slide and you're getting hammered, you're getting destroyed, you're a little Pikachu. Well, as the rocks kind of come down and work as a disguise or cover for your Pokemon, maybe that's when you start to move behind each boulder and stuff. It's a dangerous maneuver, but it might win you the battle if you succeed. Turning your opponent's moves against them is a classic in the Pokemon show. And that's what this is pretty much saying to do, to think outside the box. Maybe have your Pikachu up against the wall with his tail in the ground when the entire arena gets exploded with thunder and lightning from Raichu. That is why I chose this system over systems that are really large, like United and stuff. Because I didn't want something that was just hard mechanics. I wanted something that was going to let me be the show. I wanted to let me be the game in some capacity. But most importantly, let me tell the story my way. And it seems like most Pokemon are valid choices because of how the system works. Arguably all of them, but then there is something to be said about making sure pseudo-legendaries and other Pokemon have a leg up over other Pokemon. Like, you don't want a Rattata to stand with a Dragonite and be its equal. Unless that Rattata has some crazy ninja skills. I don't know. Alright, trainer tips. Pokeymanz is designed for journeys first, but if you use it to battle your friends in a bout of PvP, remember that the system is designed to allow a lot of flexibility over balance and have a sense of sportsmanship about it. Yeah, it's always tough to have PvP in any system, though I think in a Pokemon game, it'll be more acceptable. No one's dying forever. You might lose this fight, but your Pokemon can get healed at a center or immediately after the conflict. I think it'll be fun. And I can't wait to see what my players pick. I asked them, I was like, listen guys, if you want to choose a traditional starter, fine. But I would really like us to see a Pokemon that doesn't get a lot of action. Choose one of those. And see how that plays out. I see someone in chat saying, Ponyta all the way. Well, in this system you get to choose any starter you want. Maybe Ponyta is your starter. Which would be really cool. Alright, the basics of battle. Not all problems can be solved by fighting, but Pokemon battles are unmistakably what fans love the most about the gameplay of the series. Except contest lovers, and secret base builders, people who like the underground minigames, and people who like Pokemon and Me, and people who like Pokemon Go, and etc, 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 etc. Let's go into Pokemon battles and the nitty-gritty of pitting mons against each other. The staple conflict resolution of the Pokemon universe. Okay. A note, while essential to many other games, ranges, and Pokemon's is theater of the mind. Pokemon should be within each other's reach for moves by default. I like that. It'd be really annoying in D&D when you fight a dragon, and it's 300 feet in the sky, so your melee fighter is just kind of looking at their swords, maybe sharpening them, having a conversation about their day as they dodge dragon breath. No, this is saying the Pidgeot's going to come down for an attack, and that's when you launch your attack. I'm sure there's some things that will help promote that as an advantage. Let's see, things that could be taken into account include moves like fly or dig. Oh look, it actually mentions the VTTs, Albay Rodeo and Roll20. Alright, yeah, I like that. In Fabula Ultima, that's an anime-inspired JRPG game, TTRPG, and it handles range in a very similar fashion. Like, it matters when it really, really, really matters for the story. Otherwise, it doesn't. If you're a sniper on a building 500 feet away, then there are mechanics to get to them that's not movement-based. It's like a challenge system, like, can you catch him? Which I like a lot more than what we have. What we have in D&D. Sometimes it gets suck to have 30 feet and the opponent's 40 feet away. Initiative. When battle starts, roll initiative. Initiative is rolled with a trainer's tactics. Just a trainer die, wild Pokemon roll a d6. The GM should mark top of the round above everyone. So this is just bare bones, basic initiative. You guys roll, the orders proceeds how it proceeds. It's necessary to put in the book, but it's not something that we have to dig into too much. Type of actions. As noted above, each round, each trainer and Pokemon combo get one battle action and one movement action. A battle action is generally used to roll an attack with a move or otherwise use a move. It can be used by the trainer instead of battling Pokemon in some situations. Switching Pokemon is a battle action. So that's cool. For instance, unless throwing out the next Pokemon in line after Pokemon faints. So if it faints, obviously it's not an action, it's just a natural transition to your next Pokemon. Unless you played a lot of double battles growing up, and even when you switch someone out, they just ate a flamethrower to the face. Sorry. Using one of a Pokemon's moves, making an active trainer attribute roll, such as piloting a giant robot. Interesting. Team Rocket. Switching out on the Pokemon's turn, using an item if the item rules are used. Okay, so they have item rules, that's cool. Movement actions are fluid and narrative. They can be something like burrowing underground, taking to the skies, moving a little further away, etc. A trainer should use movement to set up for the larger actions or interact in minor ways with the terrain. Kind of see like, you're like in the Pokemon League and they've got the water and they have the ice stands. You're trying to get out of the water onto the ice stands to set up for your next attack. Stuff like that. Or escape a Goldeen and everything else. Stopping to take aim to make scoring a critical hit easier for the next move. These are examples of movement actions. Sorry, I skipped that. Using a move or ability to navigate the terrain. Oh, I just talked about that. As an example, flying type going up high with fly, or water type using aqua jet to jet around underwater. Using magnet rise to hover over a gap. This can move a Pokemon out of reach or close a gap. So when we're handling with this, the movement's very abstract. It's important when it's important, otherwise people are assumed to be within each other's attack reach. Using the terrain to give your next move a small advantage or another effect. For example, using strength to lob a rock at a Pokemon that has flown out of reach, making the movement effectively rock type, or giving the Pokemon the high ground Anakin to give it a sharpshooting move a +1 bonus. Nice. That worked out really good for Anakin. Switching out at the top of the round, escaping the effects of a hazard. Some things may not require the expenditure of an action at all and may happen automatically on a trigger. Specifically be allowed to cut in at any time, or simply not be that important to keep track of. Noise slow. Spectators using their commentary tokens, talking or making anime speeches. Oh, you gotta get your monologues in there. Activating the effect of held items if the item rules are used. Certain special actions granted by edges, which are only given to edgelords. Called actions. The trainer may choose to secretly pick their battle and or move actions ahead of time at the top of the round, and reveal them on their turn or when a risky condition is satisfied. This is called a called action. Nice. If you're playing in person, write it down on a scrap piece of paper. So I imagine this helps with priority people and not like feeling bad, like, oh, you've landed every single sucker punch on me, GM. It's like you knew I was going for an attack again. Sorry, buddy. But take a damage. No, now if I'm going to be using stuff like sucker punch, or if I'm going to be trying to get one up on my opponent who I'm normally faster than, but I know it's taking a priority move. This helps it keep it fair and a mystery. I don't know if it's purely its intent, but that's oh yeah, it looks like this is a good example here. It looks like that's a great way to keep everybody happy. So I was actually thinking about that earlier. I was like, man, I wonder how they handle like priority and things like Sucker Punch. If Anakin had Pokemon like a sensible person, he totally would have had that one. Yep, Sand Attack is always a super effective. All right, priority and beam struggles. So the game does use beam struggles, which is really, really cool. So you're going to have those super epic beat 'em up moments where maybe that's the final blow of the game. I read this earlier, so if you want to see like the beam struggle stuff, I read a little bit about it earlier, but it's more detailed here. Moves like quick attack, priority and stuff. So we already talked about this, like how the called actions and other stuff handles priorities. But a beam struggle, to sum it up, is when two people collide. Maybe both Pokemon are using Hyper Beam, or one's using Fire Blast and Hydro Pump. This kind of decides who comes out on top. It's your classic anime thing, Pokemon and other series for the beginning of time. All right, let's see here. Let's see. Actually, the GM has to abide by the call to action rules too. They can't cheat and look. Yeah, I figured as much. Wouldn't be effective if you knew what your player was going to do. If you're going to deploy stuff like Sucker Punch, you definitely have to. That's what I meant by like happy medium. Make sure there's no hard feelings, because if you know what's going to happen, even if that truly was your course of action you were going to do, it still feels bad. But now there's no excuse when we both flip our cards and it's like, gotcha. Alright, wounds. An attack must meet the target's toughness value to inflict a wound. Being a target's toughened by 6 or more of a critical hit. If a trainer attacks anything personally, it's a fitness check tested against toughness as in a Pokemon battle. Trainers can take 2 wounds, each inflicting a cumulative -1 penalty to all rolls, including the Pokemon die. Before a successful final strike would cause them to white out and be incapacitated for the remainder of the encounter and robbed blind. Okay, it doesn't say that, but that's usually what happens for some reason. I guess we rob people when we beat them in the games because we're like, yeah, give us $200. And then when you lose, you faint. The game literally is like, hey man, you fainted. And you're missing $300. Just imagine like losing to a Pokemon trainer, like a league champion. They just dig in your pocket like, give me this money. Pokemon will also faint after 3 wounds, but they do not take penalties along the way. A fainted Pokemon is similarly incapacitated, but unlike a trainer, they will not be able to battle or contribute again until they've healed significantly or rested in some way. Okay, cool. So, my understanding is that, so toughness is not HP. Oh, toughness is armor class. There we go. So toughness is armor class. And then HP... So does every Pokemon just have 3 HP, and then toughness is like the thing you just have to get over to get there? Maybe I missed it. Let me skim through this one more time. So Pokemon faint after taking 3 wounds. So did it just have 3 HP? Is there a way to increase that threshold, decrease that threshold? It might be later in the book. For a moment there, I don't know why I thought toughness was HP, but it's their armor class, how hard they are to hit. Or in the fiction, maybe the attack is hitting, but they're just so strong that they shrug it off. While most moves are extremely freeform by design, sometimes you just want to tell a Pokemon to tackle and have them tackle a dude. Here are some guidelines that might be useful to fall back on. If the GM is having trouble coming up with the novel effects, or if the player would rather stick to the basics. That's true, sometimes you don't want to have elaborate plans for that wild encounter with a Pidgey. You just want to use Thunderbolt and walk away, leave it in the grass. It's really dark if you think about it, but whatever. Alright, cool. Area of effects. Main attacks have the effect of hitting more than one target or everyone on the field at once. Far be it from me to stop you from hitting your Aggron partner with Earthquake. So if a move has the effect of hitting everyone, simply hit everyone. I'm sure your teammates won't mind. Okay. Definitely a video game thing. And I wonder in the show, did it always target your allies in the show too? I don't even remember. Critical hit should always give the move some extra oomph, depending on the nature of the move. Here are some easy ways to reflect a critical hit mechanic. It's always interesting to see how the critical hits work. Spend a mastery. The move inflicts 2 wounds instead of 1. Wow, that's very strong. If you only have 3 hit points. This is good for dramatic turnarounds. Any effect that requires spending mastery in a row, rerolls, trump card, double battle opens up this option. Noisla. The move inflicts a status effect, which we all know how status effects are. Critical hit should allow the move to inflict a secondary effect that logically makes sense on top of a wound. Yep. The move alters the terrain. It creates a change in the arena significantly enough to create a hazard or feature. The thing was what? Charizard versus Blastoise, where the whole battlefield was starting to melt away and steam and smoke and stuff was coming up. Pretty epic fight. The move gives the Pokemon a temporary buff, such as a +1 to their next move or bonus toughness, speed, or evasion. The enemy might also get a logical debuff. Nice. On a critical hit, a GM should try and offer the player the choice of the above options based on what makes sense for the move in question. In encounters where the GM wishes to prioritize pacing over all else, or in fights against low-level mooks, like wild Pokemon or cannon fodder grunts, it may be wise to allow the extra wound effect as an option for free. Try out what works for your group. Right there, folks. If it's gonna make an epic battle end too soon, maybe it's paralyzed now, or it's burned. Alright, let's see, we got some stuff here in chat. This is why that D&D OGL thing felt super important. It's so useful for other RPGs to be allowed to compare and reference how their game works differently or similarly to D&D. Absolutely agree, Matthew. Honestly, this is kind of a holdover from Savage Worlds, which actually has 2 kinds of AC. Simplified that down. Okay, cool. Yeah, it is layered over Savage Worlds. So yeah, the whole D&D debacle with the OGL, which they walked back not because they were kind, but because they had to walk back. They were losing a lot of money. It's important. And if you don't know, I actually make products with the OGL. Okay, here, let's get it loaded up. Here we go. So I actually make NPC products. It just says owned because I created them. These are my products. But I use the OGL for D&D, and I issue out really cool stuff. Recently, I put out a NPC product for JRPG creatures. And it has stat blocks, it's got artwork, it looks really cool. It doesn't have too much lore, just kind of a few snippets about like how the creature functions, how it exists. But it's really just to provide more variety. If you're gonna fight skeletons again, why don't you fight the Skellywag who sings songs and is a swashbuckler, or the Skelly Captain who is cutthroat and can attack his teammates to do extra damage to people. One of the most important things I did with my products was that I made sure that they were very interesting. That doesn't mean that they were very powerful. Sometimes they're very powerful, but they're very interesting. And I have a lot of fun making these kind of products. And when we had the OG, when we had the debacle with the open gaming license, that's what the OGL is, I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to do this anymore. But I still can, so it's awesome. Alright. Sorry, I saw some D&D stuff. Very passionate about D&D. I would say it's still my favorite game, but it has opened up the door for me to try Dragon's Bane, for me to try Shadow Dark, for me to try Pathfinder, for me to try Cyberpunk Red, and now for me to try Pokeymanz. That's when I first started looking for other stuff during the debacle, which a lot of people did. Okay, cool. Evasion doesn't work quite the same in Pokeymanz as it does in the games. After all, at first glance, actually seems to be rolled into toughness, right? Evasion's main purpose in Pokeymanz is to increase the Pokemon's resistance. And now I'm saying Pokeymanz even when it says Pokemon. To increase the Pokemon's resistance to status and other non-damaging effects. Okay, so we got a little example down here, right? It's a little more to keep in mind, however. First, Speed boosting or slowing moves can be used to modify evasion along with their own unique effects. Second, instead of boosting resistance to non-damaging attacks, a Pokemon can use evasion maneuvers to get bonuses to escaping hazards. And also, the game already has mechanics for this, right? There's a situational +1 and -1. If you're going all in on your double team and stuff like that, your enemy gets a situational -1, -2, -3. And maybe when it successfully hinders them, it goes away. Because they'll be very strong to just have that permanently in the fight once you set it up one time and stuff like that. But of course, the move breakdowns themselves might follow similar structures. Guards and counters. Certain moves protect the user or offer a counter, like the protect move. Generally, moves like these should be called at the top of the round. See the initiative section. So you want to be private about that, right? You don't want to conveniently counter their final fire blast because you knew they were going to do it. So you guys put your cards face down, which should just be the rule for combat in general, no matter what. And then you flip it. Alrighty. Healing. As a general rule, healing moves should heal 1 wound on a hit. Moves with healing as a sub-effect should activate that effect on a critical hit. Slow healing moves like Leech Seed might recover lost toughness or heal every other round. That's a very good medium. When you have 3 hit points, any healing effect in the game feels tremendous. So I like seeing the idea that every other round for Leech Seed. Yeah, that works. That's what I love about this product. It feels like they sat down there, they made it simple. I'm probably gonna eventually give more life to certain things like boss minions and stuff like that. Like, yeah, this guy, you gotta get 6 wounds on this guy. But that's so easy to mold in these games. But I do like that they think about it like, we can't just have this 3 hit point structure and with nothing to stand on it. Everything else has to be built around it. The toughness is a layer of protection. The ability to recover is a layer of protection. The situational penalties and bonuses is a layer of a structure. Beam struggles that make the fight feel longer, escalate a fight. All of that is structurally pretty sound for a rules light game, this is still a rules light game. Even with 249 pages, this is still somehow a rules light game. Wow, your art's pretty good. Thank you very much. I've got a lot of artists. I have artists on my servers. I have artists that I outsource stuff to. And then I have other people that I've made connections with over the years. For example, the Dragonbane team, it's a really cool book. They reached out to me recently to publish one of my professions that I made. So I'm not going to make any money off of that. A lot of my products, you see that they have a price. They're listed on Roll20, and they're really cool. But the Dragonbane thing, they're putting my profession in a book of professions, which in that game is your class. So if you think D&D fighter, Dragonbane, you have professions, which still might be fighter. So I made one for a contest, and it didn't win the contest, but it got a lot of votes. Later on, the people that run the Dragonbane server wrote to me, hey, we want to put this into one of our products. And I signed over the rights and permissions for the art and stuff like that. And it's really cool because I don't play a lot of Dragonbane, but to see that I made something that they were like, wow, I like that. Can we use it? Yeah, absolutely. And same thing for Shadow Dark. I've only played about 3 sessions of Shadow Dark, but I have a product out there called Widow's Web that is a D&D product that was converted because someone liked it to Shadow Dark, put on backer kit or something. It's like a lighter version of Kickstarter, and raised about $2,000, $3,000, which isn't bad for a simple adventure. And I didn't have to lift a finger. I just said, here, take my adventure, make it a Shadow Dark adventure. Boom, it was really cool. Alright, so when I see books like this, I've made books like this before. So I can appreciate the writing, the love, and I understand how long it took to do this. To get through 10 pages of this could have taken you an equal amount of days, sometimes twice as many days. And I know that this stuff can be so stressful, but the fact that we love it makes it a little bit easier. Later, Matthew. Yeah, it's pretty cool seeing products published and having print books and stuff like that. It's really neat. Multi-hit moves. It is recommended to never rule these moves as extra attacks or more than 2 wounds. Oh yeah, Bullet Seed get real crazy real fast, as that breaks the game's action economy. They do open up a lot of unique possible advantages in battle, however. A Pokemon could use the extra effect of a critical hit to hit another opposing Pokemon on the field for a wound instead. Uh, Bypass guards, quick successes, all that other stuff. I like it. What can we do with multi-hits? If you really want to lean into multi-hits, you can make each additional attack have less accuracy, and each additional attack that lands temporarily reduces toughness. I think that's pretty cool. So maybe if you do hit it with 5 bullet seeds, which should be very difficult to do if the accuracy reducing, you can do a wound. You can reduce its toughness by between 2 to 3 if they all land, which is unlikely. But it resets the next time you damage them because you can't have their toughness be reduced for long. That could be a happy medium for those attacks. But you want to play it by ear. Non-damage moves. An attack doesn't do damage, the threshold for hit is 4. The same as a normal roll. This activates the move's effects and reflects its status. Toughness does not come into the equation in this case, but if the opposition has somehow put something in the way or used the move to increase their evasiveness or speed, this can impose penalties on the move. Immunity sometimes factors in, but type effectiveness is otherwise ignored. I can't remember if what edition of the game where like lightning Pokemon they couldn't lightning. Now I'm mixing up D&D because lightning damage is what Pikachu would do in D&D. Electric Pokemon are immune to paralyzed. Is that a thing in the newer games? I know in the old games, I got paralyzed before with an electric type. So is it the Mandela effect and I'm just misremembering it and it's reversed? Oh boy, one hit KO moves. The move that will always miss when you use it, but always hit when your opponent uses it. One of the design philosophies in Pokeymanz battles is to never have a player's Pokemon go down in one turn. One can only deal an additional wound on a critical hit after all, and training Pokemons have a minimum of 3 wounds. That's nice to hear that there's actually that's considered the minimum, that there's a possibility, whether that's supported in the rules or not, for the idea of more wounds. This means that trainers will always get to try to do something meaningful in battle with each Pokemon no matter what. One-hit KO moves by their nature then present a problem to this balancing principle. The suggested way to run these moves is to avoid this, to treat them as finishing moves. More likely to hit the closer an opponent is to defeat. What a great way to handle this. Roll the move for +1 for every other turn the opposing Pokemon has been in battle, for a maximum of +4. However, the move will not be modified by type effectiveness, though immunities may still apply. Players who take these type of moves must keep track of each enemy's time out in battle themselves. They wish to take advantage of this. That's pretty cool. Now let your types have been immune to paralysis and stun. They added that in. Okay. So I'm not just imagining it. I was like, I remember getting paralyzed, but then I remember playing one of the newer games about 2 years ago, and I was immune to that, and I was like, oh, nice. Stat changes. Many moves raise the Pokemon stats or lower those of the opponents. As a general guideline, you shouldn't be able to stack more than a +4 or -4 on any one variable. A successful hit allows 1 +1 to be applied for the duration that the Pokemon is in battle. Critical hit allows a second +1 that category or another move. Okay, cool, like your Dragon's Dance and stuff. Specific effects. Some moves have incredibly specific effects and niches. A good example is Imprison, which seals any moves that the Pokemon the target share. Sometimes these moves' effects are so niche that they would seemingly never come out. It's easy for a player to take a move like this for flavor and be disappointed when it never proves useful. It should be very hard to make a Pokemon that is actively useless in Pokeymanz. So for moves like this, the GM should be extra generous with creative interpretations. Allowing Imprison, which is based off of Shinto sealing practices, to seal Pokemon that use the power of a certain region, specific gimmick, or to incapacitate trainers of evil in their hearts. I love that. Or to imprison a ghost to this planes and normal attacks can now hit them. There's a lot of things we can do with that. Trying to think of like when you put a seal on a spirit and it like materializes and it can't escape no more, it can't phase through walls, stuff like that would be pretty cool from prison to make it more special. And I know there's other things in the game that can do that already for normal moves, but what the hell? Let's do it from prison. Translating move effects. We've now seen some examples, but as of this writing, there are exactly 7 bajillion moves in Pokemon. That's probably a legit number right there. Very respectful research. 7 bajillion. No, but there's way too many moves. And now there's like, I want to say there's never too many Pokemon, but it's getting, the number's getting up there. No, don't check. I looked it up. Pokeymanz is written with the intent that it will be able to be used with future content from the series without big changes. So that number will only increase as time goes on. The question then becomes, how do I translate effects from the game myself? What are the guidelines? First of all, always remember that a lot of the time you don't need to. Moves and special abilities in Pokeymanz are very freeform by nature. It can have multiple effects depending on context. Okay, so this is just kind of telling you like, is it backwards compatible, future compatible, all that stuff. It does suggest early on to look on Cerebri and stuff and see what your Pokemon can learn and write it down. So if there's a newer gen comes out, look what your Pokemon gets in that generation, write it down. If there's a new move that was not introduced prior, it's now in the game and you can use it, and all that stuff. Of course, stuff like this, you always gotta work with the GM and things, especially if they want to have a consistent world and things like that. Arena features. Every arena should have at least 2 and up to 4 notable features to make use of. Open terrain can be one of those features. Players can make creative use of these features to set up interesting situations or hazards, but a good default option for straightforward play is you have +1 on the roll if the terrain would be advantageous for a move. I used to reference waterfall a lot more than I thought. I'm not sure why, but if we're fighting by a waterfall and I hit you with waterfall, it's going to be very effective. If we're fighting on the beach and I use surf, it's going to be very effective. Now, if we're in a desert and I use surf, I don't know, maybe this dude is sweating a lot. I might even do a -1 on it. Yeah, I like the idea of that. It might have to be a -1 if you're surfing in the desert. I know in the games, we just ignore it. And in the show, what happens is a lot of times they don't put those Pokemon in those situations where it's like, go Swampert, you surf in the desert. And sometimes they do and they'll produce their own water and stuff, but it's very rare in the show. Just like you can have a Goldeen just on a desert map fighting head on with another Pokemon. But in the show, you only see those fish Pokemon really be used when they can actually be used in water and stuff like that. So I'm interested in seeing how that's gonna work when we play. God, all this artwork is so good. Arena hazards. So that's more of kind of what we were talking about, but I'll skim through it. I'll look at the bow stuff, and then if it's not clear, I'll look at the adjacent to the bow. Oh, my son is crying. I will be right back. It means he wants his bottle. He woke up. Be right back. Right, I'm back. My son wakes up every night like clockwork around 12. I'm in New York, so it's 12 here. Which means they're gonna be going to bed pretty soon. Alright, we don't have to go up against, we don't have to really cover type matchups. If anyone who's ever played a Pokemon game, they generally know the concepts. Even though it always gets strange when you do with psychic, ghosts, and dark types and other things. It gets confusing. Everyone knows that the water beats the fire. So these charts are very helpful and useful. But generally when we're playing, I'm sure I'm going to just have it on my sheet and know at the time what I need. Alrighty, a hazard, they should try and find a suitable counter move to get out of the situation, which they can do on their move turn, which is nice. If you fail, you take the effects of the hazard. I like this example here. And I also really like that Pokemon. Well, I can't remember that Pokemon's name. Like, I've got like the first 5 or even 6 gens down, but are we actually on like 7 or 8 now, or are we at like 6? Oh, we got it. It's got to be like 7 or 8 now. Extremely large, dangerous, or difficult to avoid hazards might put the roll to get out of them at a penalty, which makes sense. Even a Pokemon could be a hazard. I guess you could treat a hazard like if you get binded by like an Onyx, right? If a Pokemon dedicated moves to build up a hazard by adding elements to it, it may also become progressively harder to escape or alter. Once a Pokemon or trainer is either successfully defended against or taken a wound from a hazard, it will not damage them again. Alright, and I'm reading mostly the bold areas right now. Only provokes a defending roll from each member of the target trainer's side once. God, we're on Gen 9? Oh my gosh. I'm not sure what's more terrifying, Palossand eating Pikachu or the type chart. The type chart is always scarier. We're just gonna ignore this and act like this is not happening. If you're a regular trainer, you can return him, but if you're Ash Ketchum, you just gotta hope for the best. Wow, I can't believe we're on Gen 9. It's so crazy. Alright, so that's the type chart. And this is all simple. You know, when it's time to play and there's an actual arena effect, I can reference this. What I do is and I'm sure there's a summary and stuff, but I'll write down arena hazards and a page number, and that's all I need. And then when I'm playing, I'll look at it, I'll open the page. I'm probably gonna take this book to the printer, or this PDF to the printer and get it printed out in a nice book I can use when I'm running my games. Because I do like having physical copies of stuff when I'm playing on the VTTs, since everything's online nowadays. Alright, let's see here. Get this bad boy printed out. Status effects. We've got to wait in chat. What are we waiting for? And I wonder if there's a delay. In the meantime, oh, we get it. When I make a PC who's good at battling, I need them to have the type chart tattooed on themselves. That's very true. That is very true. I bet you somebody has a tattoo of the type chart. And you're probably shocked when they came out with Fairy. They're like, oh damn, the chart's changed. And depending on when they got it, it probably happened with Steel as well. But you know someone in the world has to have a type chart Pokemon tattoo. Because if it exists in our world, somebody probably has it tattooed on their body. Alright, let's see here. Status effects. We kind of alluded to that, but now we have them defined. I'll go over 1 or 2 of these. See how they handle stuff. Let's see, which one's annoying? When you get frozen, that's pretty annoying. The Pokemon's body is partially crystallized, slowing their movements and making their natural defenses more brittle. Frostbitten Pokemon take -2 to their toughness, and non-damaging moves get a +2 bonus to connect with them. It's like a 4 distribution right there. For an effect similar to the traditional frozen, try trapped instead. Let's see what trapped is. As long as they're within the area of that move, that calls it, the Pokemon is held in place and cannot make a movement action. You may attempt to use a battle action to break free using a move. However, holding an opponent in place next to a hazard is a common tactic. Held Pokemon can't be switched out until they break from whatever is holding them. Excellent. I'll read over 2 more of these and then we'll move along. Let's see poison. Is your screen going to be acting up every time you take a step for poison Pokemon? Is that required? Let's see here. The Pokemon is poisoned, a chemical or biological agent coursing through their system and weakening them. For every round a Pokemon is poisoned, their toughness is reduced by 1 at the end of their turn until they're retired from battle or faint. Okay, great. I was worried it was going to deliver wounds, but it doesn't, so that's good. If toughness dips to 0, the Pokemon automatically faints. Poison and Steel-type Pokemon cannot be poisoned. Noisla. Electric types cannot be paralyzed. We were talking about this earlier. Luckily, it's nicely defined right here. Ice types cannot be frostbitten. You know, I never realized. I guess it makes sense. I never realized ice Pokemon couldn't be frozen. That's cool. I kind of understood for the burn and the paralyzed, but I never realized that. Flinching. The Pokemon's next battle action takes a -2 penalty as they flinch back and try to regain their bearings. Yeah, give that first turn fake out. Okay, so that's that. Gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all. Come on. And now the Pokemon rap is stuck in your head. Wow. You got me. You activated your trap card. You used Pot of Greed and you drew 3 cards instead of 2. Because Yugi makes the rules. Alright, let's see. Oh, capture. This is a very big portion of playing Pokemon. Look, what's next? Battle formats, boss Pokemon, wild encounters, legendary Pokemons, trainer battles, double battles, gym battles. Okay, cool. So I'm going to end the stream on capture. I'm going to go ahead and review this section right here. And then next time I'll pick up on the battle formats, probably on Monday or Tuesday. We're starting our Pokemon journey, our Pokemon campaign in about 3 weeks. I've got 3 players already lined up. I'm looking for 1 more player and it's going to be a good time. Alright, a wild Pokemon must either be befriended or defeated in order to be valid for capture. Either way, the opportunity for capture generally comes once an encounter has been resolved. Pokemon trainers are generally assumed to be carrying free Pokeballs. Befriending could happen in many ways, by gaining a Pokemon's respect during a story one way or another, by saving it, engaging it, yada yada yada. Befriending Pokemon that are captured start with a free justification to buy up mastery. That's cool. Defeat is self-explanatory. Once per encounter, throw a Pokeball at a fainted Pokemon. Boom, captured. Okay. Legendary or very strong Pokemon may resist capture and break out of their ball anyway. The GM should reserve this for especially unique cases, as doing this too much will make your players fucking hate you. Or they better get ready, because they're not playing Pokemon unless they threw 87 Ultra Balls. And then they wasted their 1 Premier Ball that they really wanted to catch their Pokemon in. If for some reason more than 1 trainer wants to capture a defeated Pokemon and neither is willing to back down, the trainers must make a contested roll. Generally, but not exclusively with fitness, to represent their Pokeball throwing skill. Captured Pokemon start with identical stats to a starter Pokemon without the bonus mastery, regardless of how powerful they were before. This represents the training a trainer and Pokemon need to go through to coordinate with each other properly. In an advanced game, having a new Pokemon begin at a level of a starter might be a severe balance problem or break suspension of disbelief. So at GM discretion, refer to the Catching Stronger Pokemon section and the Advancement chapter for more detail on how to balance that for sure. I thought I read somewhere that there was a roll, like a D12 roll. I think I was looking at a quick guide on it. Or I think there was a cheat sheet and it had capture on it. I'm not sure if that was explained here. Or it could have been a different Pokemon system when I was on the hunt initially. I feel like it was a cheat sheet for Pokeymanz though, but I could be wrong. Something to do with a D12 roll or something. Let me just skim through and see if there's additional like capture stuff. Here we go. Some more. Oh, capture chance. Here we go. All right. Capture chance. So this is the part of what we were talking about earlier. So we'll read this before we end the stream. By default, the rules of Pokeymanz say you just do it in regards to capturing Pokemon. When a counter has been cleared, want to reincorporate the final pressing A at the beginning of every shake in hopes that the Pokemon stays in the damn ball, and praying to any higher power that is listening that you didn't just use your last dust ball when it breaks free. These rules are yours. Yep, absolutely using this. I'll probably hand wave it if you're throwing a Pokeball at a Caterpie, even if it's not injured. But for any meaningful battle between a Pokemon, maybe a Pokemon you really wanted for a while, I think the capture rules, the amount of suspense you could deliver with this would be awesome. Slowly telling the trainer that it shakes once, it shakes twice, and then you just take a long pause, and then you hear it ping. Doom. You've captured this Pokemon. That could be a really great scene. You don't want to use it all the time, but you do want to do it. After default rules, you generally get the chance to throw your Pokeballs at the end of an encounter at a defeated Pokemon. You still automatically capture a befriended Pokemon after all. There's no chance of breaking free if the Pokemon isn't resisting. Makes sense? It'd be really weird for you like give this Pokemon a hug, a high five. He's smiling, you're smiling. You put him in the Pokeball, you're walking, and it just explodes. And the Pokemon takes off running. Here's the difference. When using the capture chance rules, you can throw out a Pokeball whenever you like. It's not guaranteed to work, of course. Instead, when a trainer declares intent to capture a Pokemon, they must note down or otherwise depict a capture chance counter. Everyone can see a D12 is a great counter. This number starts at 12 and becomes bottoms out at 1. Pokemon marked for capture have 3 wounds, no matter what the original number of wounds was for that encounter. They have simply become more strong and narratively important retroactively. Okay, the number ticks down this many when the Pokemon takes a wound, 3. They have a major status effect, 3. The Pokemon has a minor status effect, not including roll bonuses or penalties, 1 each. A grappled, confused Pokemon takes down 2. Both Pokemon can only tick down 1 time each time the above are met. Their counter is never lower than 3, and their wound count is unaffected. Yeah, I'm gonna use this a lot. Not always, but a good amount. Because just like this says here, there's no feeling quite like hearing that you captured the Pokemon. The capture row continued. Oh, but wait, there's more. On any of their turns, the trainer may use their battle action to throw a Pokeball. They need to roll a D12 and roll at or over the number on the counter to succeed. While this roll does not explode and only consists of 1 die, mastery may be spent on rerolls just like a normal roll. If the group is using the item rules, appropriate special Pokeballs may modify the capture roll by 1, 2, depending on circumstance. There may be an opportunity to get circumstance or bonuses or penalties. On a 1 or 2, the Pokemon flees, or if it's a boss Pokemon, goes sicko mode and powers up like a Dragon Ball Z character pretty much. Bonuses to the capture roll from circumstances or a ball can prevent this on 2, but they will always flee on a natural 1 unless you're a halfling. This is probably not goodbye forever, however. A significantly determined trainer may later track down a specific Pokemon they really wanted to catch. The exact method and time frame for catching up for this Pokemon may vary by the time of the game and the trainer in question's approach. Okay. New Edge Capture Specialist. We're the best at capturing stuff. Oh, look at that. Some manga work right there. No attention above fainted Pokemon. For the purpose of these rules, faint Pokemon are treated as having gotten away. Nice. Alright, so this is just kind of some standard jumble on what it is and all that other stuff. And I can dig into this on my own time. Yeah, this is really cool. I definitely think I'll introduce special balls depending on where they are. And everyone likes being rewarded with a master ball every now and then, and it like mattering without the item rules, which we'll get into whenever the item rules appear. It might not matter whether you're using a Pokeball or a Great Ball or an Ultra Ball, but I do like the idea of that being a really fun reward down the line. Like, wow, you've got the one Master Ball. What are you going to use it on? And that could be really cool. And maybe even open up the doors to them getting a legendary, which would otherwise be almost impossible in the series for most trainers. Alright guys, I think that's it for today. I got through roughly about another 50 pages. And I look forward to digging into it more. I skipped over some stuff, but that's okay. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. If you're not playing Pokeymanz, play Pokeymanz. Have a good night.